Welcome to the Optimize Your Business and Your Life podcast for high-achieving entrepreneurs. Each episode will share strategies to help you create a highly profitable business and life you love. And now, your host, 2016 International Coach of the Year, Stacey Hyland.
Hi, welcome to this episode of Optimize Your Business and Your Life. So today we are going to be talking about the surprising thing about a $10 million business win. And so here's one thing that I see a lot with my high achieving business owner clients is that they do not stop and celebrate, right? They're not good at celebrating wins. And maybe you see this as well, that you have such big goals that when you make progress, you're not stopping to acknowledge the amount of progress you have. You're not seeing things as wins. You're just seeing like, oh, I did something. That's just normal. That's just normal. That's just not normal. So I'll show you a little bit of a story behind that with one of my clients that really brought this home. So at the beginning of all of my coaching calls and all of my mastermind calls, I always ask my clients to celebrate their wins. What are you celebrating this week? What wins did you have? And so I was coaching one of my clients and we were talking in our coaching conversation. We were just going through things. And all of a sudden he told me, he said, well, yeah, we crossed $10 million this morning. And I was like, what? That is fantastic. I was ready to do my happy dance and celebrate with him. But he did not even stop to acknowledge that, right? He did not even think to bring it up as a win. Right. And so it's interesting because this is a client that I worked with for quite a while, and he went from 6 figures in his business to 7 figures. And now he had crossed the 8-figure mark since we were working together. So I backed him right up. And I said, listen, this is really important that you celebrate this win. This is huge. And I think that's one of the challenges with high achievers is they see what they do as just normal. This is easy. This is something that anybody can do. But if you look at the facts of how many people can create $1 million business and how many people can create a $10 million business, it's a tiny percentage of businesses that are able to do that. And so I really wanted him to celebrate it. And actually in prep for this podcast, I realized that he never even really celebrated when he hit $1 million either. So this was a pervasive problem. So here's why this is important for you if you want to reach higher levels of success in your business. So your brain, it has something called the reticular activating system. And this, we call it RAS, right? The reticular activating system. Now, this is the part of the brain that filters out all of the things that are happening in your world. So, we have TV commercials, internet, we have our kids, we have background noise, right? So whether you're working in a coffee shop, you're working in your home office, wherever it is, you have this background noise and your brain is like, okay, we're filtering out that noise. That is not important. And it has this little reticular activating system that filters if something is important that you need to pay attention to. So this is why when you say, for example, you were to buy a white Toyota, right? All of a sudden you will see all of these other white Toyotas. And it will look like every single person has a white Toyota because now your brain is like, oh, white Toyota, we got to pay attention to that. We got to pay attention to that. And you will start to see them everywhere. Another way that you might see this happening is if you have kids, and this happens to us a lot of times. Our living room is in another part of the house, and then the kitchen is in another part. And we'll be talking and thinking that we're having this private conversation, and all of a sudden somebody doing their homework or doing something else in their bedroom or in the kitchen will pop up and be like, what? As soon as they hear their name, because our brain, our name is our most important thing. And this is why even with sales that you want to use people's name, because all of a sudden if they were zoning out and not thinking, if you say their name, if somebody says Stacey, I would be like, what, right? So make sure that you're using names as you're doing things. So the reticular activating system is looking for what is important to you. And probably you've been programming this reticular activating system in a negative way that you are not training it to look for the things that you want to pay attention to. And so it's searching for like, oh, what should we be stressed out about, right? If you're stressed all the time, if you're worrying all the time, negative input in your brain, it's like, oh, maybe we should be worried about the economy. Maybe we should be worried about hiring. Maybe we should be worried about increases in taxes. Whatever it is, your brain is going to start looking for articles, for conversations, anything to back that up, right? So we know with the law of attraction, with mindset work, that what we focus on expands, right? So what we want to do is start to get our brain working for us and looking for things to celebrate, right? What you focus on expand. You want your brain to be focused on, what are we celebrating? What are we moving forward with? Okay. Oprah says, the more you praise and celebrate your life, the more there is to celebrate. Oprah. And so I would say, the more you praise and celebrate your business, the more there is to celebrate in your business, right? Because when you get wins, what starts happening? When you start making wins, you want to create more wins, right? Because it's like, oh my gosh, I celebrated that. Let's stack that up and start stacking your wins. And when you start stacking your wins, what happens is you get more momentum in your business. You get more momentum in your life. Okay. So start stacking your wins and start asking yourself, what can I celebrate? And what you can do is you can look at, I know a lot of times people wait till their birthday, or they wait till the quarter or the end of the year to look at, okay, what progress have I made? But I would break it down, especially if you're getting stuck in a zone of like, oh, this isn't working. You're focusing on negative things. I would look at, what can I celebrate this morning? What did I do well this morning, right? Just a little baby segment of time. What did I celebrate this hour? Did you just get something done that was hard on your to-do list? And start celebrating those things and then stack it up. Okay, now what can you celebrate that you did today? What can you celebrate that you did this week, this month, this quarter, this year? And you can start to see that those wins are going to stack up, and you're going to want to get more of them, right? Because what you're focusing on is what you're getting more of. Okay, so the other thing is, years ago, I remember reading a book, The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte, and she talked about the word striving. And I was like, well, who isn't striving back then when I read this? I don't want to say it was about 10 years ago. And striving is really like, you're constantly putting out energy. You're constantly feeling like you need to keep up, that you can never get to the thing that you want because you're striving it. So with focusing into the wins, what you're doing is you're focusing on the next goal, but also focusing on your progress towards that next goal, as opposed to like striving for it. And I'll give you an example. So we have a dog. A lot of you, if you watch me on Instagram or Facebook, you know Red, our dog. And so I've immersed myself in dog training. And one of the things that happens with people that don't get success training their dogs is because they keep moving the goalpost for their dog, right? And I have to admit, my husband does this. So what happens is, you want your dog to do something. And when you have a dog, you want to reward them as soon as they make the action that you want. So for example, if you want them to give you a paw, as soon as they give you the paw, you reward them. If you want them to come, you reward them as soon as they do what you want. But what happens is people start stacking the things on top. So I'll see my husband do this with the dog. He'll be like, give me paw, give me the other paw, give me high five, give me low five, lay down, right? And so he's making him do more and more things to get that treat, which is okay once he's trained, right? Because he knows all of those tricks. But when you're first learning it, you want to make sure that whatever that action is, you reward it immediately so that you're going to get more of that. And that works with dog brains, but it also works with our brains as well, even though we're smarter than the dogs. That's debatable sometimes. But what we want to do is we want to reward ourselves when we do the little things, right? Because when we keep moving that goalpost, like the dog, right? We keep moving the goalpost for the dog so that they're never like, well, I'm not going to get the treat anyway. Why should I do this? Right? The same thing for you in your business. Like, say, for example, you have your first $10,000 a month and you want to be at 20,000. Well, it doesn't mean that you don't celebrate. You celebrate that growth. You celebrate that progress, because if you don't, you're never going to feel like you're a success. And I can speak to experience with this in my younger years, a while ago, is I would always feel, like I said, that striving, that I was never reaching it, because as soon as I would, get 10 clients, I would want to have 12 clients. And as soon as I had 15 clients, I would want to have 20 clients, right? And I kept moving that goalpost on myself instead of celebrating, like, remember when you started? Remember how many clients you had? Remember what your income was? And it's funny because we're moving right now. And what I've noticed is I'm finding a lot of old journals. I'm finding a lot of goal setting sheets. I'm finding a lot of things that I didn't even remember I had written to myself, right? And when I see these things now, I'm like, oh my gosh, like the life I'm living right now, the business I have now was my life and my business of my dreams back then, right? Like I was writing down, I want to build my lake house. I want to, have a group program. I want to launch a mastermind. I want to host retreats. And all of those things have come to pass. But instead of, looking at, oh, I don't have X number of people that I want, I need to look at, okay, here's the progress, right? Now, I just recently listened to a book that was fantastic on this topic, which is The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And what they talked about was the fact that most high achievers, because we're wired this way, is they focus on the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. Right. And that's so frustrating because you're, again, like I said, we keep moving that goalpost further and further away. As soon as you get to 20,000, you're like, okay, now I want 30,000. Now I want 1 million. Now I want 10 million. Right. So you never feel successful. You never get to feel positive. You're always feeling in lack. So it's a real lack of abundance. So I think that's one of the things that happens when you're focusing on that gap is that it really keeps you in lack mode as opposed to abundance mode. So that's why it's really important to do this. Now, what they were saying in the book was that you need to focus on the gain. And this is what I do with my clients, that we look at where you were and the progress made, where you were and the progress made. And sometimes, some of these wins are really small wins, but again, celebrate the progress, right? And so what I want for you to do is to look at where can you celebrate progress in your business? Even the baby steps. This is super important. And I want you to get into the habit of doing this each morning, each afternoon, each evening, so that you can start to stack those wins that you're getting in your business. Okay. The next thing I want you to do is look to surround yourself. Who is celebrating with you? Now, a lot of times when we're parents, we have our kids and we're at the kitchen table and we're like, what went well today? How did it go? And we're celebrating like, great, you had a good math test or French test or whatever it is. But the thing is that we should also be praising the effort that it made to get that, even if they didn't get the results, right? So for example, the podcast. Here we have the podcast. We have it uploaded on, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all of those channels. So it's not like you don't get an instant win when you do that. You have to know that it's progress. Each week is adding on more people. So what's happening with a lot of entrepreneurs is they're looking at what they're doing and they're comparing it to everybody else. And that's the danger in social media, is that you look at what you have and you compare it to somebody else who has a completely different situation than you. And you, again, put lack energy on yourself. You put that negative energy on yourself. Like, I am not there yet, right? So first of all, you need to be running your own race, keeping your eye, like I say, put the blinders on. Don't be looking at what everybody else is doing. You need to be running your own race. But surround yourself like you did at the kitchen table, hopefully if you had good parents, but with people that are going to celebrate with you. Now, if your family of origin or your spouse or your partner does not celebrate with you, and I think that's sometimes something that we look for from people in our life and our family, we expect them to celebrate with us, and they don't, right? Because you're an entrepreneur, a lot of times people in our life, they don't get it, right? They don't care. Like, I wrote the first draft of my book. Nobody cared. It was like, oh, good. It was just like, are you kidding me? Do you know how much blood, sweat, and tears it took to write that first draft, right? And so you need to surround yourself with people that celebrate with you, right? Whether that's in a mastermind group, whether that's a coach, whether that's other entrepreneurial besties. Like, I know a lot of times people find people at a conference or something that they're like, okay, let's work together, let's cheer each other on. And that's one of the things with my clients is that they have Voxer, which is it's like a walkie-talkie app with their phone that in between our coaching sessions, they can send me messages. So a lot of times they'll be like, oh my gosh, like last week, one of my clients said she just had her best month this year, last month, right? And it was interesting because at the beginning of the month, she was not having a great month. She was really struggling, and her mindset was really focused on lack, on things that were driving her nuts in her business. And we really worked hard to reshift that into a prosperity and abundance energy. And then she was celebrating, right? And so I'm celebrating with her. So you want to surround yourself with other people that can lift you up, celebrate those baby steps and the big things without getting jealous, with wanting the best for you. Okay. And then the next thing is when you're looking at your goals, right? So whatever your goal is, whether it's $1 million, $10 million, $10,000, right? Stop judging yourself for not hitting that goal yet. What you want to do is you want to look at where was I when I started? What have I achieved? And again, this can be looking back from the beginning of your business of what you've achieved. It can be looking at what you've learned. That's one of the things with packing to move is that I'm looking at all of these books, all of these courses I've taken, and it's amazing because I can see, oh my gosh, I learned all of that stuff, right? And sometimes we take that for granted of the shifts we make in what we know, who we're being, all of those things, but they're all valid things to celebrate for yourself, right? So look at the progress that's already made on your goal. And then I want you to start practicing sharing your wins. So find some safe people to share it with. It could be in the Facebook group. So go to the Optimize Your Business and Life Facebook group, because that's a great place to share that I will cheer you on. Other people will cheer you on. And that will help you then focus, get that reticular activating system. Like, oh my gosh, I liked that. I liked winning and I like getting more wins. So your reticular activating system is going to look at what are the wins I'm having? And it's also going to look at how can we create more of this? What are some other opportunities that exist? It's going to start to work for you. Even you're going to see how many more ideas that you get and how much more positive energy you have when you do this. Now, I'm going to add a little PS here to the podcast. So if you listen to the podcast episode 16, I really want to celebrate because in that episode, I talked about a client who was really feeling pushy or icky in the launch process. And I'm happy to report and happy to celebrate that she actually did it. She pushed through the fear, she pushed through the ickiness factor and had her first launch of a group program and got people in the program. So, and it's going extremely well. She's having the time of her life because the program is all designed around who her perfect clients are, what their goals are, what their wants are, and it's also designed around her zone of genius. So, right, you have the zone of genius plus what the perfect clients want. You put that together, magic happens. So we were celebrating that. We were doing I call it the happy dance. So I'm curious to see what your wins are. Please share with them wherever you're catching this podcast, or go to the Facebook group, Optimize Your Business and Your Life, and share those with us. And remember, don't just learn, implement. And if you liked this episode, please subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. Leave me a review. Leave me your comments. I am here to help you optimize your business and scale without the hustle.